Back at the Loctite Nationwide IHRA World Nationals, Bob Barsha, Ted Jones, and Brett Kepner with you. There was R.C. Sherman and his opponent in the semifinals of Nitro Funny Car, the pristine white machine of Whit Bazemore.
Whit Bazemore out of Pensacola, Florida, surprised to even be in the semifinals. This is his rookie year in a Nitro Funny Car, especially against this man. This is the high-dollar car owned by Nick Bonifani and sponsored by Raybestos Clutches.
Reaction times about equal for the two drivers in the quarterfinals. Bazemore will be on the left, R.C. Sherman on the right. The cars are staged and ready. And Bazemore does not move. R.C. Sherman has a walkover.
Bazemore breaks right on the starting line. The Raybestos car, a 552, 264 mile per hour, an easy trip to the finals.
And there is Bazemore idling down the quarter mile. Our next matchup, Doc Holliday in the left lane, Kenny Bernstein in the right.
Well, this is pressure for the doctor. Remember, he's the points leader. He's seen R.C. go into the finals. He needs to bump off the big Budweiser King car.
Doc Holliday hoping to become a world champion despite the fact that his Telstar Dodge is not sponsored. Clean getaway for both cars. Quickly Bernstein opens up a car length advantage and holds it to the end, but barely.
Barely indeed. Kenny Bernstein, a slower 564. Doc Holliday was late off the starting line by a ton. Watch, Doc sets there. Bernstein has already left. Here they come down the quarter mile now. Doc Holliday is actually ahead of Bernstein. At the 8th mile, Bernstein applies the Dale Armstrong wrenched horsepower and moves around Doc for the win.
Well, Kenny Bernstein definitely dejected. Although he picked up the semifinal round win, some obvious engine problems, and Kenny, that one was won, if nothing else, with serious driving abilities. And apparently it is that severe, huh?
Yeah, I broke a rod in it. Yeah, it broke. Bad.
Your reaction time was all that wanted. It was a 564 to a losing 561 for Doc.
I just got lucky. Some days you get those and some days you don't. I've had them on the other side, but, you know, we hate tearing stuff up like that, but that's the way sometimes it goes.
You know, every run that you and Dale Armstrong make with this car and your crew is an experiment. You're always trying new things. I know this weekend you were trying a lot of new things. Could this be an experiment gone awry?
No, this wasn't at all. This was normal here, normal engine combination, normal clutch. All we're doing now is trying to win a race, and that's it. But, you know, obviously something was wrong internally, and it gave up.
You got a lot of work. We'll let you go. Good luck.
A lot of work to do. Thanks.
A lot of work indeed for Kenny Bernstein and crew chief Dale Armstrong, true innovators in nitro-burning funny cars. It'll be Bernstein against R.C. Sherman. Sherman, by virtue of the quicker ET, will have lane choice in the Nitro Funny Car final. We move on now to semifinal action in Top Fuel. And a matchup will feature Gene Snow, the two-time and defending IHRA world champion, going up against John Carey.
Carey, the diesel mechanic out of Dover, Delaware, defeated Hank Indries to move into this round against the world champ Gene Snow. You can bet Pat Dakin is watching this run, Bob.
Pat Dakin, the points leader in the other semifinal. Remember, this man, Gene Snow, still nursing that broken collarbone. He led up in his quarterfinal round, gave up lane choice to John Carey in order to get this far, but Snowman with a great start. He's got a car length, and he extends it to the finish.
Well, Snow off the line first. Look at the ET, 514, 260 mile per hour. The Snowman is back indeed.
Well, Gene, you had said you thought 520s might be the order of the day. Everything's stationary there. 514 at 260 miles an hour, I think is a little bit quicker than even you thought it was going to go.
Yeah, it was. I didn't have any idea what we did on the first round, and that felt about the same. It was really good. Johnny had a good close race.
It appears that you're back to your tradition of shutting it off early to keep from damaging anything. Is there anything left in this thing? Well, we got a winter front coming in that may change the atmosphere.
Maybe. I noticed it changed a little bit a while ago, but the thing about it is I got to watch his shoulder. We got to be careful. We shut off a little early, so I'll have time to slow down before we hit both chutes.
The injury from the accident has slowed down your reactions a little bit, I guess, as you're concerned.
Probably, but if I can keep the car running good, we're going to be okay.
That's for sure. Congratulations. See you in the final.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Wow, a 514, and he eased up. That'll give these guys something to think about, and Pat Dakin's crew's got something on their hands.
They're adjusting the valve cover right there. Meanwhile, Richard Holcomb getting ready to stage. Clayton Harris, the crew chief, looking at starter Jim Blakely, saying, what's going on? What's the problem? Let's stage him up.
These nitro-burning cars heat up awfully quickly, and they cannot sit idling in the staging area for very long, or they'll burn something.
Now Jim Blakely, the starter, motioning Dakin, get into the lights and stage. The heat's building up over here in the Holcomb car. Here comes the crew chief, that's G.L. Rupp. He reaches in, tells Dakin not to go. It'll be a single run.
Oh, that was a close moment, too, because Rupp stepped forward just as the lights flashed. but apparently Dakin is done, and Holcomb walks through to the final. There is the points leader. Disappointing moment for him. And so Gene Snow, by virtue of that scintillating 514 ET, will have lane choice over Richard Holcomb in the final. Let's catch up with Brett Kepner in the Pro Stock pits.
Well, the crowd around Jerry Bascom's pit area in the Pro Stock pits seems to be getting larger by every round, and rightfully so. The crew is right now concerned mostly with the clutch. They're adding weight on the clutch, hoping to get the car to launch a little bit harder, I would imagine, against Larry Morgan. As the crew puts in a different pressure plate, adjusting the pressure of that clutch, crew chief Wayne Pilkhurst is looking on. And Wayne, this is a whole new act for everybody. We all know that, but what's the game plan against Morgan?
Well, I think we're just going to add a little more clutch to it and see if we can leave the starting line better.
Well, obviously, it's going to be a close battle. You did lose lane choice, but the cars are only 100th of a second apart.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a driver's battle right now.
And what do you think about this Cinderella story?
I'm loving every minute of it.
And rightfully so. This crew is definitely working every minute of it.
And so as Jerry Bascom's crew prepares their man for the semifinal round of Pro Stock competition, we'll take a quick time. Back at beautiful Norwalk Raceway Park in Norwalk, Ohio, where we're ready for semifinal action in Pro Stock competition. It'll be Jerry Yeoman from Galena, Kansas, going up against the pride of Davie, Florida, Pat Musey. Meanwhile, Brett Kepner is busy in the pit area.
When Kenny Bernstein told us down at the finish line after his semifinal victory that he had serious problems, we knew he did. But back here in the pit area, it is amazing what his crews managed to do. Here's the motor they just took out of the Budweiser King Buick Riata, and you can see where at least one connecting rod came right through this aluminum Chrysler Hemi block, destroying the oil pan, the engine block itself. The crew hasn't even bothered taking the cylinder heads off this thing to find out what's wrong. They've already installed a brand new aluminum power plant for Kenny Bernstein's final round appearance against R.C. Sherman. Mike Guger and crew chief Dale Armstrong and the rest of the crew have done the incredible by putting a motor in this thing in less than 20 minutes. But indeed, that's what Kenny Bernstein pays these guys for, to be the absolute best.
And best they are. Meanwhile, back in the staging area, it is Musey against Yeoman in our first semifinal matchup of Pro Stock.
Pat Musey turned in a very respectable 7:55 in the last round. Yeoman has gotten into this round on 2 red lights, Bob.
And Yeoman lift the front wheels off the launching pad. Musey drives around.
Musey dominating again a 7:54, 184 miles per hour.
And so Pat Musey moves into the finals in Pro Stock, and we'll see now who will be his opponent. Will it be this man, Jerry Bascom? We said it before, the Cinderella story of the meet. In his first IHRA national event, he's in the semis against this man, the vastly experienced Larry Morgan out of Newark, Ohio.
Bascom is the hometown hero. He's from nearby Bedford Heights, Ohio.
Cars are staged. Up come the RPMs, and there's a red light. Jerry Bascom, red lights, and the Cinderella story has reached midnight. Too bad. He gets there first, but it's all for naught. Larry Morgan will advance to the Pro Stock final against Pat Musey, and he will have lane choice by virtue of the faster ET. On now to Alcohol Funny Cars semifinal action, and what you're going to see next could be a battle for the championship in IHRA competition. Mark Thomas, the dairy farmer from Louisville, Ohio, and his opponent will be the points leader, Greg Moss. Right now, let's catch up with Brett Kepner in the pits.
It's important to remember that in IHRA championship drag racing, competitors have a limited amount of time between competition rounds, and that's why there's a thrash at both Kenny Bernstein and Richard Holcomb's pit area. They're trying to get these things ready for the final round championship. And what a better man to ask about Richard Holcomb's problems than the crew chief, the one and only Clayton Harris down underneath the motor. Clayton is always thrashing on this thing, it seems, but Clayton, you like to tear this thing completely down between rounds, even if it's basic maintenance.
Yes, sir. That's the only way you can tell, Brent, where you have anything wrong. You can tune with that, too. You look at the bearings and check the bottom end. You know how much more pressure it'll stand, and it's a good tuning tool.
He just pulled out the only piston you believe was damaged because of that spark plug coming out of the cylinder head. How bad is it?
Right. We lost number 2 spark plug out on the starting line, so it only had 7 cylinders, and it overloaded number 6. It's not bad. We'll be right back.
Have to replace the cylinder head?
No, just one piston and put a helicoil in the spark plug hole.
So you'll be doing that. We'll see you out there, guy.
Very good. Thank you.
Wow.